Okay, perfect. All right, so this is goals and business planning. So we're thinking about 2021. We're, oh my goodness, a little over 2 weeks away until January 1st. So I encourage you, if you have not started thinking about your plans for 2021, now is the perfect time to do so. So please take some time this week um, to maybe reserve an afternoon for yourself or a morning and start jotting down some of your thoughts for next year and what your goals might be. I know Logan and Claire, you guys are kind of, this is going to be your first full year. So I hope, kind of what I go over today is going to help you a little bit. So let's get started. So the first thing is that, I guess, starting with goals and business planning, is you need to know what you did for 2020. So obviously, Claire and Logan, with you guys being new, you might not have a unit count, but Steve, for you, you need to know what your numbers were for 2020. And this kind of helps us justify what is a realistic goal for 2021. Don't, my words of advice is, do not set a crazy out there goal. If you did 10 deals this year, don't set a goal to do 50 for next year. Okay. So know your numbers. So Steve, if for you, you can always ask me for what is a DA list. And Logan and Claire, you guys can ask me for this at any point in time next year. This is essentially a list of all the transactions that you have done or closed. And then you can always go on My KW in the report section. This is updated monthly, and that's like all your listings, all of your pendings, all of your closings, and also how much money that you have made. So all of those items are on the reports on your MyKW. Also, if you don't have some form of a spreadsheet, I encourage you to keep some sort of log of your pendings or your closings, or both, whatever you have got, whatever you've got going on. I know for me, I'm kind of more of a numbers person, so this is going to differ from person to person, but I do a lot better if I can track something myself. And then that way I can kind of create my own categories and what's really important to me to track. And no, I do that as well. Steve, I think you have a spreadsheet that you use. I don't know if you're unmuting yourself there.
Yes. I was actually just switching over to that so I could take a peeky at it. But yeah, I keep a spreadsheet of every transaction that I do. And then it actually has a breakdown of commissions too. So
Yeah.
it has, am I okay to talk about it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Please go.
So it has, the address, property address, the date of the closing, the amount of the sale, and then the percentage split, if there's a team or no team, or and then so that split also well, I guess I'd start off with the buyer agency split to begin with, and then from there would be the agent or brokerage split 70-30, and I keep track of my um, company dollar,
Yep.
what your cap is.
Yep.
So it actually starts off with my cap money, and then subtracts each transaction and keeps track of that, as well as royalty, the
Okay.
6%.
Mm-hmm.
It's a running tally of both of those, and then it tells me how much at the end,
Mm-hmm.
and then what your check would essentially be from Nikki, and
Yeah.
I have
And
another account protect.
I like the way that you do it, because also I have to admit I'm human and sometimes I make mistakes too. And I like that you have kind of a double check system. So you know what your check should be. So if any point there's ever a discrepancy, which does not happen often, I don't want to like tell you guys I mess up checks or anything, but just in case, you never know. So just to know on your end what you should be expecting, and then at the end of the year, when you have all those numbers right in front of you and you're not trying to scramble for tax purposes to try and figure out what went where, and it's going to help you out a lot. So I definitely recommend creating a spreadsheet, and throughout the years it's going to change as you start to add things and you decide what's important to have on there. But start for 2021, Logan and Claire. Steve?
So I was just going to say, I also have a column on there for taxes. So for each transaction, I have a certain amount, certain percentage set aside for each transaction that it, at a bare minimum tallies up. So you know for each transaction about how much you should put set aside.
Yeah.
And then I have a running tally so I know how much total I should have set aside for taxes. And, you know, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but at least you know how much you're in debt to yourself and Uncle Sam for throughout the year.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And also create a physical bank account, a savings account that you could transfer. So whenever I do a direct deposit for you guys' check, whatever's on your spreadsheet to take out for taxes, transfer that to a savings account and don't touch it. That's your end of year stuff. That's going to be really important because I promise you, if you're not putting that aside, it's going to catch up with you and it's not going to be fun or pretty. So thank you, Steve, for sharing that. Okay, so yeah, that's step one. Know your numbers, and that's going to kind of help us gauge what's a good 2021 goal. Also, all right, so for tracking things for 2021, if you are not tracking like your appointments and your contracts, you need to start doing that. So here's a couple categories. I will say these a little slower so you guys can write them down, but these are what you should be tracking for 2021. Offers written, how many buyer consultations that you're going on or conducting, offers accepted, how many listing appointments you're going on, how many listings you're taking, and how many listings you're selling. Also, how many hours a week you are prospecting. So I have this cool planner from Titleosity, and I'm sure if you ask them, they will give you one. This is for 2021. So this is kind of what like a week would look like. Somewhere over here, I would jot down, I prospected 12 hours this week. I prospected 4 hours this week. And you should be keeping track of how many prospecting hours that you're actually doing. Because if you go to reevaluate the month and you realize, okay, I only prospected 10 hours this month, well, then that's kind of showing us why we might not be getting the traction that we want to see. Okay? So those are the numbers that you should be tracking for next year. Okay? All right, and so then when it comes to setting an actual number for your goals, for Steve, for you, since you did have numbers this year, I would figure out like a percentage increase. Let's say you closed 20 deals this year and you want to do 10% more. So that's 22 deals. So don't go from 20 to 50 or 20 to 35. That's a pretty large jump there. And this is going to kind of help you make it a little bit more realistic when you're setting that goal. So you're not just kind of falling off and you're like, okay, well, I'm halfway through the year and I'm supposed to be at 20 transactions right now and I'm only at 6. Okay. By setting higher goals that are not as realistic, it gets us down a lot quicker and makes us give up a little bit faster. Steve, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, I think having a set number of transactions is important too, but equally as much the money aspect of it, and maybe either if it's not number of transactions, then you know, a sales number, gross commission number. You know, I don't know how you feel about that, Nikki. It's just something in my mind that
Yeah.
as I'm looking back, I didn't meet the number of transactions, it was way lower, but my gross commission was higher than I
Mm-hmm.
had not a lot. I mean, I guess not overall higher, but it wasn't as low as it should have been given the number of transactions I did because my some of my transactions were a good
Right.
dollar amount. Also, I guess it's a fair check, to have.
Yeah. And I'm glad you bring that up because I think, when it comes to like setting a unit goal and setting a commission goal, it kind of depends on your personal situation, right? Like if this is your sole income, then it's probably going to be more of a financial goal for you versus a unit count. Whereas if this is something, if you're more part-time or, this is not your sole income, it might be a unit goal. So it kind of depends. And I encourage you to think about that a little bit. And thank you, Steve, for that example, because I think that kind of shows the difference where, he set a unit goal, but it's not, just because he didn't necessarily hit that unit or if he went over that unit, he still met his financial goal or more. So yeah, think about that and how that might work for you personally, and everybody does it different. So, all right. So I guess since we kind of started talking about the financial part, let's talk about that a little bit more. Part of your business planning, you should be thinking about what your business expenses are and what your personal expenses are. Again, kind of going back to what we just said, if you can keep them separate, I encourage you to do so. It's going to make things easier at the end of the year. It's going to help you kind of set those goals a little bit better. But I understand that if this is your career, you don't have a part-time job or a full-time job, that this is probably going to incorporate your personal and your business and in your monthly expenses. Steve?
Yeah. So just to carry that further, I keep a profit and loss statement, a P&L, that I mostly did because I was doing some work with financing with my lenders, and they almost always will want to see that since we're self-employed for the current year. Your taxes will show that from previous years, but I thought it was pretty helpful. I did some searching around, and Nikki, can you make it so I can share my screen?
Yeah.
Um, I'll show you what I put together. Or actually, I found it. I think I just did a search for Google search for P&L and KW or real estate. And let me see.
I don't know
This
if
is
you can because I have it recording.
oh,
I can't remember. Hang on one second. Let's try this.
says post disabled participant screen sharing. But anyway, if you get that going, that's cool. But I can talk about it a little bit. Just so basically, it's a spreadsheet that it does separate what Nikki was talking about. We all have expenses. For marketing. One of my breakdown for these, and some of these are generic, but salaries, if you're paying an admin, lead generation, if it's Zillow or Realtor.com or other areas that you're spending money in for marketing expenses. I have phone supplies, G-card dues, equipment, office bill, Flex MLS. I pay a little bit extra to the MLS.
Sorry, Steve, I can't figure it out.
Okay, no biggie. I'm talking so. So other income. I have some rental properties that I have income coming in from those. And then I also, so this is another separation on the spreadsheet called other income. And I have my rental properties where the income is coming in. There's an area for profit share, interest,
Mm-hmm.
And other expenses is another area. Expenses like income tax. I have my mortgages for my homes on there. Uh, let's see. And then I have income is where I have is an area for listing GCI, sales GCI, referral GCI. Also, you can have all those listed out by month. And then I also have columns for cost of sales, meaning company dollar, your royalty, any referrals maybe that you paid out. So it's fairly in depth, and it
Yeah.
calculates everything for you just by putting in that data, and it kind of even gives you a total gross income and net income based on all those numbers, the different differences between the income and the expenses.
Yeah,
So it's just important
that's
to
good.
know what your expenses are versus what your income is. You might make a shit ton of money, excuse me, but you might also you might also be paying out a lot of money in expenses too.
Yeah.
So
No, that's
I
great. The more detailed you can get with a P&L, you want to, because yeah, you could be making all the money in the world, but if you don't know exactly what you're spending, and you could use this in your personal life too. You it's about profit at the end of the day, right? We're not in this business to spend money and make money equally. We're in this to make a profit. So making money and tracking your expenses is very important. Um, with that being said, I have a couple of options that I've looked into. QuickBooks, I believe, is like $12 to $17 a month. Um, Obviously, it's a very low expense, and I would encourage all of you to sign up for that. This will help you track all of your expenses, and I believe it creates a profit and loss statement for you. The second one is Mint, like minty gum, mint.com. This is free, or I believe a very minimal cost, but this links directly to any credit cards or bank accounts that you have, and it categorizes all of your purchases in different categories. And so you can know, okay, this month I spent, $200 on groceries. This month I spent $400 on gas, like whatever it might be, and it puts it in all these categories for you. So you can kind of correlate that to your budget and even set your budget right through mint.com, and it'll tell you, hey, you're getting really close to your budgeted amount for this month. You need to, watch out for that. So two really good options for you that are pretty inexpensive. Also, your budget that you set for yourself should correlate with your goals. So if part of your goals is to have, 10 listings next year, well, those listings, you have to think about your marketing expenses, right? So you might do 2 open houses. So if you want to do 2 open houses every month, that's 24 open houses. What's your budget per open house? So I just use the example. So if you do 2 open houses a month, that, might be anywhere from $35 to $50 per open house, especially right now if you're buying wipes and sanitizer and booties, and then you might have some refreshments or whatever that might be. That needs to correlate with your budget. So take your unit goal or whatever and kind of divide that out. So if you have a listing, what goes into a listing? You might do an ad. You might do an open house. You might do a postcard. So take all of those different expenses off of your unit goals and incorporate that into your budget for next year. Okay, any questions about budget financial part of things? Okay.
Is it true that being a third-party contractor, we have to file taxes 4 times a year, or is that not it anymore? Because I know that used to be the rule.
Yes, so you have to file them quarterly, correct, Steve?
Yes.
So go
Look
ahead.
at the IRS website, and there's dates for each of those quarters when those quarterly taxes are due. And if you don't pay quarterly taxes, there can be fines by both the state and the federal government for, depending on how much money you made during those quarters. But
Yeah.
there's CPA would be the good one to talk to on that. But just know that yes, as independent contractors, we are supposed to file quarterly taxes.
Yep.
And if I haven't made anything this year, obviously, yet, it doesn't really matter, right? I don't need to file.
I don't think
zero, right?
so. Steve, is that right?
If you didn't make any money, then no.
Okay.
Yeah, so and that's why it's another reason to track all of that stuff and create some sort of a spreadsheet for you that works. Because once you do connect with an accountant, they're going to want to know your projections or your numbers for that quarter. So they can say, hey, you're going to owe about this much, or this is what you should be sending the IRS for
We don't
tax.
have any in-house accountant people, do we? Or do we have a list of somebody, or?
We don't. I could
I've never
probably
had
get
to
you a
help
couple
before.
recommendations, but I don't
That would be
know anyone
helpful.
off the top of my head right this minute.
I've never needed one before. I do
Yeah,
my own
right?
taxes, so
It's a new thing.
Yeah, and Claire, I'm not sure with your situation since you have a full-time job anyway, right? I'm not sure on exactly how it works with having to pay quarterly taxes if you have a W-2 job. So I would definitely consult the CPA to ask that question.
Yeah.
okay.
All right. Also with business planning for next year, create a schedule for yourself.
Oh, I love scheduling.
And so one, if you don't have a planner, and this is up to you, I'm a paper person. I'm trying to convert to not paper, but I just like paper. I feel like I remember things a lot better if I write them down. So if it's Google Calendar, fantastic. If it's both, cool. If it's a paper planner, go get one today. Put that on your list to get from the store, or you can ask Tylosity for one.
I just ordered Glover U.
I was gonna say, thank you.
I just ordered it.
Yes, and Glover U, they have a phenomenal planner that actually has like daily tracking with your numbers, like so your appointments, your contacts, all that stuff is in there for you. So that's an awesome option. It was $40, right, Claire?
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, I got it on Cyber Monday, so mine was 32. It was 20% off.
Hey, there we go. That's awesome.
Yay.
Yeah, so that planner is pretty awesome too. Go in and when you start your goal setting, this is why you should have the planner soon. When you're starting to think about your goals for next year and start planning out your schedule, first of all, put in your vacation or tentative vacation. I know with COVID, we're not exactly sure what next year might look like for vacations, but I know there are going to be days like holidays and maybe your kids' birthdays or your birthday that you want to take off. Put that in your calendar ahead of time. Put all those days in there. If you're working, if you have a set schedule that's, Monday to Wednesday, Friday, you work 6 to 12, put that in your calendar. That's really important, and especially family things, because we don't want to compromise time with family for anything. That's obviously your priority, so put that in your calendar now. And then also, so one of the things that, and I'm sure you guys, if you've listened to any of Jeff's classes recently, he did a 2021 business planning class, which I went and rewatched yesterday, and I encourage you guys to watch that. But he shares a little bit about what his schedule looks like throughout the day. And it starts off with he is ready to go. He's either in the office or in his home office by 8 o'clock. So he starts his day. He does like script practice or role playing with accountability partner. He starts his lead generation. He's ready to go for the day. And then I think it's like 11 o'clock is his gym time and lunchtime. So he takes about a 2-hour break after he gets like all of his morning schedule out of the way. And then the afternoon is reserved for any appointments. So listing appointments, showings. And the reason why he does that is because his morning schedule is set. Like he prospects, he does his admin work, he returns emails, all of that stuff, does his follow-ups. So he has a block of time reserved for appointments. He's not putting in an appointment that's going to push his prospecting time out of the way. Because we all know if you don't get your prospecting done first thing, it's probably not going to get done. So get that done and save your appointments for the afternoon. And so, yeah, so that I think is the most important thing, is because that's what's going to make next year different. I think we tend to get off of our time blocks and we tend to get off of our schedule. So if we have a dedicated time, and it does not need to be a full day that's planned, it could be 2 to 4 hours in your day that, hey, this is my time to do my follow-ups, to do my admin tasks, my prospecting, and that's my uninterrupted time, then that's what's gonna be different for next year. Okay. And so really the last thing I wanted to talk about is setting goals inside of Command. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sure, you can share your screen.
I know, I can share mine. All right, so inside of Command, and your dashboard might look a little bit different, but on my dashboard, it compares this goals versus actuals. Move this up here. So these are all the things that this tracks, and then this is tracked by you putting in your contacts and moving them through the different opportunity stages. So if you are just putting in your opportunity to get paid, that's okay. But just know that Command can actually take this to a higher level and track it for you on, what percentage of your contacts are going to the appointment set stage and how many are going to the appointments kept stage, and then all the way to closing. So it will track it for you. You just have to actually do it. And so what I mean by that is, for those of you, I know Logan, you probably haven't seen this just yet, but so these are all the different phases of a transaction. So it starts with cultivate. Let me find one I have in here. Okay, so this is just kind of a test one. So when you start clicking and dragging these actual boxes, it's going to track that on our goals versus actual.
How'd you get into that little part?
So that's the opportunities phase. So an opportunity has to be submitted for you to get paid. So a lot of people kind of take the shortcut route and just kind of submit it when they're ready to close. But if you start from the very beginning, and by very beginning, I mean from the moment you talk to a client about even potentially starting to work together, or you start seeing houses, or they just got pre-approved and they're ready to submit an offer. If you start tracking it from that very first step all the way to closing, then your numbers down here are going to reflect that.
That's smart. I should do that.
Okay, and then you can go right into, I'm going to go back because I did that kind of quickly. So right into goal settings. And right over here on the right-hand side is where you can set your goals for next year. So we have 2021, your annual profit goal. Ooh, $1 million. That would be fantastic.
Wow, that's quite a
Let's say I want a profit of $65,000. And so expenses. So this is where setting that budget is going to come in handy. So let's say I'm predicting my expenses to be about $15,000 next year. Cost of sales are expenses that are made only when a transaction takes place. So this is your company dollar cap, your royalty, any transaction fees, or referral fees as well. So if you have a plan to make a profit goal of $65,000, then we know that we're probably going to cap. So we're probably going to pay in our full Market Center cap and royalty. So that would go there. And then let's say transaction fees, I'm gonna just say about 25,000. Your business makeup, so listings versus buyers. This doesn't need to be exact, so don't worry if it gets off, but let's say you have a goal to focus more on listings next year. So you want to do 75% listings and 25% buyers. Or I know if you're a buyer's agent, it might be the other way around, but reflect that on how you would like that to look. And then your average commission per unit. Steve, for you, in your report section on MyKW, you actually have your own average commission based on your own transactions. Claire and Logan, that'll be something that you guys can look out for 2021 and could be even something that you keep track of. But for now, you could use the Market Center average, which I think right now we're at about 6,000. So we're right around the $200,000 mark, so that would give us about 6,000 there. Okay, so after that, it's going to save, and then this is kind of the breakdown here. So based on my profit goal of 65,000, I need to, whoops, go back.
Hi, sweet. Come here. Come here.
So based on my profit goal of 65,000, I need to have a gross commission of $105,000 next year. So that takes in the average commission per unit, my cost of sales, and my operating expenses. And it says, okay, if you want that profit, then this is what you really need to bring in to the table.
So GCI is gross commission income?
Correct. Gross commission income. So if we take that 105 divided by our average sale, so it's about 17.5 units.
Interesting. Okay.
So for Claire and Logan, this might be a good place to kind of start.
Yeah.
With when you start thinking about what you want to do for next year.
Is this in opportunities? This little.
So this is right in command. I'll show you in just a second how we got to this again. So this is our conversion rates. And this is why I touched on the beginning, why I want you guys to track how many leads and contacts and appointments set and listing appointments, things like that, because ultimately what we're after is knowing the conversion rates of our business.
Right.
And so for here, we can just leave what's kind of defaulted in here, and we can change these next year when we have a little bit better idea of what those conversion rates actually are for ourselves. So I'm going to save and continue that. So this is just this is everything all together. And exit out of that. So I was right on, we go back to the home page here. It's right on your home page.
Oh, right there, goals.
Yep, and then just hit on the actual goals versus actuals, and then this is where it goes a little bit more in depth. Okay. So over here, this is activities breakdown. So this is showing what I'm doing through command. So even more reason to use this all the time and as much as possible. This is showing that I've only sent 11 emails year to date. That's not good. Through command, I've sent 2 text messages, and I've searched 7 neighborhoods. So the more you operate, it's telling you the more that, you know, you're communicating with your clients. You can look at it as just the monthly version as well, or year to date. Your conversion rates, and then your goal breakdown. Okay, so again, this is going to update for you as long as you're using opportunities. So as long as you are tracking your appointments and updating them throughout those stages, that'll be all updated for you. Okay,
Okay.
Steve, you like that? I know you've seen the old version of the goal setting, and I haven't decided which one I like more. I really liked the older version that they had, but this one is getting a little bit better. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks like some neat updates. And
Yeah.
I think just for the PC people, I think that's something great we should dive into very the beginning of the year.
hmm
Have a meeting with all of the PC people and make sure we have all that down.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Maybe we could do a little bit of vision boarding too. So I just want to end this with 2 things to check out. Well, I guess 3 things that are on your to-do list. One is reserve an afternoon or a morning or weekend day within the next 2 weeks for you to think about what you're going to do differently for 2021, what your goals are, and then feel free to share them with me or Steve. We're both here to help. And if you need help, if you just need help figuring out, I don't know what to set as a goal, let's set an appointment. We could do a Zoom call or a phone call, and we can talk about that. Second thing is go to gloveru.com/2021plan. There is the 60-minute video that Jeff did on setting or your 2021 business plan. And then you also can get a copy of his business plan and the worksheets that went with that, so you guys can use those. Also, this book here, 12-week year, get this either on Amazon or on Audible or your local bookstore, and read this or listen to it on Audible. This kind of has a different approach on setting goals for yourself, and it's kind of a eye-opener for me because instead of setting like a huge goal for yourself, and this could be personal, it could be like for me, I have a goal to feel a little bit more healthy next year, maybe lose some weight, but this breaks it down in every 12 weeks. So I'm not saying, okay, I want to lose X amount of pounds next year. It's in these first 12 weeks, I want to exercise 3 days a week. I want to make, 2 new recipes every week. Like, it's really breaking them down into more specific and smaller goals for you. So essentially you reset every 3 months and you reevaluate your goals instead of just starting the beginning of the year trying to focus on your one big goal and having 12 months to do it, and not really taking that time to step back and reevaluate and asking yourself, is this working for me? Do I need to shift anything in my tasks or my to-do list that are going to help me reach that goal a little bit better? So that's called the 12-week year.
Nikki, what was that address for Glover? Is it
Yeah. It's gloveru.com/2021 plan.
Okay.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or anything they want to chime in on?
No, but I got something to show you. 1 second.
Okay.
That's the end of the class portion?
Huh?
I just got my new masks.
Oh, fantastic.
Isn't it fun? Yeah.
Where'd you
I
get
have them
those
ready. Yeah, They
from?
come with a filter too.
Very
Put it in.
cool.
They were on sale. Another Cyber Monday purchase.
I love Cyber Monday.
I know, right? It's great.
Awesome. That's awesome, Claire. I'm excited for you. I'm kind of jealous too. I want one.
I know, they're kind of cool.
Yeah, that's what I had for you guys today. So I hope this is helpful and at least gets you started in thinking about
Absolutely.
2021. And again, if you want to sit down, we can kind of take this one step further and personalize it for you guys. Just send me an email and we can do a one-on-one Zoom call. We can have Steve join us as well, and just kind of talk about your personal business.
Yay.
Okay?
Thanks, Nikki. Nice
All right,
job.
you guys. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great rest of your day. Hey, and don't forget happy hour at 4 o'clock today.
Happy hour, 4 o'clock.
All right, guys. See you later.